All right, I've got a Rapido GP38, obviously B&O, and you can't, well, you'll see when I pull the shell off. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the shell. All it takes is, I haven't had this one apart, so we'll be doing this from scratch. I removed the antenna because it's just a pain to, like the screw. I know it's out, it's just being a stinker. It's completely unscrewed. There we go. So there's one. You slide the coupler out, and when you do, be careful because there is another little hose hanging here, and I've accidentally grabbed it and pulled it off, and I just put that to the side so I don't lose it. And to take the shell off, all you have to do is remove the couplers. Some of them have a couple more hidden screws here and there. This one, it does not. And what helped me on this is I put a little support on the coupler, because if you just pull the screw alone, it kind of binds, and that's what happened just a second ago. I was having trouble getting that out. Okay, couplers are out. Their couplers are very similar to a Katie number 5. Those familiar with those, I don't think it's quite a scale coupler. It's more like a Katie number 5. And a Katie number 5 has, now I'm going to wiggle this very carefully, because they do fit pretty tight. You just want to take your time, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. There's a little plastic piece here I break every time, because these things have some insane, there's a hose that comes up into a hole here and all. You want to remember that when you put it back together. And there we go. Now I'm just going to set that aside because we don't need that anymore. So the first thing you do is you come in and remove this Kapton tape. However you do it, it's up to you. I've never used this stuff. It's nice, you know, it's for electrical insulation and all, so I should be using that. But so far, just for holding wires, I use just Scotch tape. And I probably should get Kapton tape. Now for the areas that I mill, I use just electrical tape. And I know it's thicker and all, and I should use Kapton tape. Oh, they've got some electrical back here. And this just do the same thing. You just pull that right off. Now, this video, I didn't really say, I don't think, but this video is mainly for the person that does not want Loc Sound, the company ESU. They designed this board. It says ESU on it, 2023. They've designed this board, but they did it in a way kind of like Scale Trains does. I'm going to throw them under the bus here. It's the only thing I don't like about the locomotive, and that's why I'm doing this video, to show what I would do to mill a frame so I can put my decoder in. They put a little dummy plug, 21 pin on here, and normally I don't remove it, but you kind of wiggle it from both sides. It's just there so you can run it on a DC track. Ta-da! And then you would buy, say, a Loc Sound one, stick it in the same spot, and you have sound, because this one board has 2 speakers in it already, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 LEDs. most of which are on this board. The reason I'm changing it, I'm not a Loc Sound fan. I like soundtracks. This is going to get a soundtrack tsunami, just like everything else. This engine will be my third engine. So when you get to this point, you just going to pull this mess apart and start pulling connectors off. Doesn't matter what they're used for. Well, at this point it doesn't anyway. I've got other videos showing me doing a whole install. This one is just showing how to get the motherboard out. And the problem I have is Loc Sound designed the board along, well, I'll just push it out of the way. It's out of the way. Okay. They designed the motherboard to only be friendly with a Loc Sound decoder. And I really don't like that. I feel it goes against the, what is it, NMRA standards, National Model Railroading Association. They found a way around it. So scale trains, that the motherboard is not just a dummy board. It's doing some work that the decoder should be doing, and that's where I get frustrated. So there's going to be one screw here, there'll be one screw here, let's see if that got this board. Anything else hanging on here? I know that this, there we go. You want to take this off and place it aside. This is your front two number boards and your headlight. And in my videos, you can see it. I don't need to keep repeating myself, but it's got all the lights for the back and everything on this board. And here's where those were. So in my videos, I show everything I do. So in this case, there is one other thing I need to do, and there's this little strip here, if you can see it. And that strip is made to go to those little copper things. And that's cool how they did it. But I will say, copper and other components like that aren't soldered, over time they get, not corrosion, it's more of a oxidization. And I guarantee after so long, they'll stop working. You put a little screwdriver under here and just push something down there. Maybe I need a wider one. It's just slightly glued in there. One side, go around, there's no screws. Then the other side, you'll see it when I get it loose. There we go. And I think, pretty sure, yeah, it's separate. So, trash. This, it's got capacitor on it to keep it alive for a couple seconds if you go across dirty track and all. Trash. I do use the back end as a template when I'm doing my thing, but I don't want to get into that because that is in my videos. Okay, it looks like we got a little bit more tape here. I want to take this tape off. This is for the motor. This one's for the back pickups. So this picks up the power off the track. And the other one's pretty obvious in this mess. These two pick up the power from the front, the back, and then the front, and then the motor. So those are your basics when you're starting to put it back together. I've said this before, but I'll mention real quick. Red is power. Black they've got a little tiny light in the nose for locomotives that have a headlight right here in the nose, like the BNSF. Don't need it, so I unsolder it, take it off. The yellow one is for my 2 class lights up here, and the green one is for right down here. It shines down for the walkway light. But when I'm done, I redo the whole back end. It doesn't matter. Okay, we got everything off. I'm going to take this off. Just wiggle it. It comes off. Whoops. It's stuck to my finger. And then the other thing you want to take off is these 2 little light pipes. They're what light up the rear class lights. See that? That's just a little, looks like a little L with a peg out the bottom of it. And that peg would go in the hole. I'll put that aside. Get the other one. On the CSX, they didn't put these in because it doesn't have class lights. And I was wondering if they would. Anyway, these are identical. You just take them out, put them to the side. Okay, now, should be 6 screws. We removed that little plate there that I pried up. And they are slightly different from each other, so you want to keep them kind of, you don't want to mix them up. I'm going to do a little trick here. Got some of these magnets, and oh my God, they are crazy powerful. These 2 go to the motor. Now, I don't reuse these, but not to worry, because the little plastic emboss pieces that come up, they'll stick up past a little bit. See, I'm going to put these screws in the middle because they're different. Kind of putting them right with where the engine would be, or where it would go back on the engine. The little embosses, you'll see them here. Then this pocket has 2 screws. 1, 2. So when I lift this out of here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. And there we go, that's it. We'll not be using these, so I'm going to put these aside. I don't want to mix these up. Don't need them. You're probably thinking, okay, how do you mount the engine back on there? Let me carefully just kind of wiggle this a little bit, and it should pop right off. There we go. There we go. So what I'm going to do, and I've mentioned this to a friend, is I'm going to take off 0.175, and then I tighten this. And then this becomes my scribe. And I just put it along the side here. And you don't have to do the whole thing, because once it's set, locked down in the mill, I'm looking at this side. I don't care about this side because I know it's flat on my mill. So it looks like a decent amount, but it's really not too bad, because it dips in here and it kind of dips away here. And I will come right up to about where these holes are. Just behind these holes is where I will stop. And I'm doing that just by using my eyes. And it does dip just a hair below the side here. So I ran out of room because it's guiding across the top here to make that line. Once I hit this, it wants to drop, right? It does go a hair below this. But in my case, it only does on this. So I bring it back, I don't know, 1/4 inch. And when I'm done, I put my electrical tape on there, and it's perfect for the PNP8 decoder, or I forgot what it's called. It's a Blue Nami an 8 function, and it'll fit there perfect. And the electrical tape keeps it from shorting out. And I take this wall out as well. It's very thin, so I'll set it in the bottom of here and work my way until this wall is basically gone. And I put you can put up to 3 speaker cubes on this thing, and it's a tight fit, but it'll do it. But you have to mill, because if you don't, there's not enough room if you tried to put a decoder, because those things are super thin. I think they're like 0.75 or something, about what I'm taking off, to be honest. And then on top of that, I'll put a current keeper. So that's all it takes. This is the weight. And if you're someone I was going to help out, I just showed you how to do it. It's super simple. And so when you go to put it back together, just make sure you're not going to pinch any wires when you do it. Okay, back together. Put the 2 front screws in. You put these 2 screws in. The only thing that's some people want to maybe just do 2 cubes because it's easier to get to the screws. On mine, I'd have to pop my 3rd cube speaker out of the way to get to those screws. But for the most part, I can pull the trucks apart in a lube and do all the maintenance I want. So I said, once I'm done, these are going to stick out a little bit. And this is what holds the engine in. See how it moves up and down? Well, when it's reattached, it's not going up and down. It's not going anywhere. So what I do is I take something like this and give it a pretty good squeeze to make it oblong instead of round. Now doing it now isn't going to make much sense, but I think you get my drift. What it does is it creates a interference fit within this hole. So when I go to put the weight back on, I can feel it interfering because it's now oblong. And when you put the weight on, you should feel it, and you should have to use slight force to get it all the way down. If not, go ahead and squeeze it some more. And then it doesn't need screws because this sits right on the face. The motor's not going anywhere. And when you oblong these and you have that interference fit when you put this on, it's not going anywhere at all, I promise. So anyway, made it a little longer than I should have, but that is how you get the weight out. And I've got more than enough videos on YouTube of how to convert, if that's how you want to do it. But the problem is a lot of people don't have mills. And in my video, you'll see when you come back, it's all nice and silver looking. It's like this, but a little shinier where I've milled it. I'm just a Soundtracks fan. Nothing against Loke Sound. It's just, in my opinion, I can hear the difference. And in my opinion, I think Soundtracks, the Tsunami 2 and the Blue Nami are both excellent products. But this step has to be done. So I wanted to document this, so if there's anybody that is going to send me a weight, this way you can look at the video and see exactly how it was done, because it's super basic. So for anything else, I've got a really short video on there that's only about 20 minutes long on the B&O. And then I've got short segments where I go into, and it's in the description, into each kind of where I break it down and how I do it little by little, because it does take some patience doing these, but when they're done, I got to tell you, I've done 2 now, and I'm sold. I don't think I want any other train brand after this. They're very well made. I've got 25 years design and engineering behind me, and I just got to say they're super well made, and they're the heaviest engines. Some people may be concerned about removing that weight, but I'm telling you, it doesn't make that big a difference, because this is all solid down here too. So the way everything fits and all is better than any engine I've ever seen. The only downfall, like I said, is I do not like the monopoly they have where you have to use their decoder. And I'm like, no. So anyway, if there's others out there that want to tackle it, that's how you do it.